Hey, this is Stephanie with The Awakened Business. I'm really excited to share this with you today because I had a really big breakthrough and awareness that, well, let me just tell you about it. I'm excited. So, first of all, the last couple weeks have been kind of hard for me. And not typically hard, as in, like, oh, I had a bad day, I'm feeling kind of crappy or something, but like really hard. Some things got triggered that stirred up this despair and like old feelings of abandonment, and I just was having a hell of a time getting out of it. And I have these amazing tools at my disposal. I've been using and practicing. I have a practice, and so thank God for that, because it would pull me out of it, but then it's like I kept sinking right back down into this hole, and I was saying, what is going on? Because I haven't felt this way in years. And more importantly than what was going on, how the hell do I shift this, right? I was really starting to get concerned because I really had this feeling of like abandonment and despair and like annihilation, like this self-annihilation feeling. And I'm so grateful for my good friend Dahlia, who really helped me out, helped me understand what was happening here. So what happened is that some recent events triggered a core wound of mine, something I haven't dealt with that goes back to being like 3 years old, and I haven't been willing to deal with it. And all of that just started coming up. And what she explained to me so brilliantly is that all of these practices I've been using, the energy clearings, and so many of the other practices that I have, focus on awareness and the higher mind or the higher consciousness, which is wonderful. But it doesn't automatically get to that emotional brain, that mammalian brain where these core wounds are held. And so these old wounds, these old emotional wounds got triggered, and the awareness I had was great. Like, I know the truth. I know what's really happening here, and I should be able to just let this go, but the emotional brain just wasn't catching up. And so what was happening is I was kind of vacillating back and forth between this like, despair and peace. But I wasn't getting them both at the same time, and I just kept going back and forth and back and forth. So she told me that she explained that what I need to do is integrate that higher consciousness awareness with that little girl emotional wound so that she can get on board with it and she can know the truth. And when she said that, I was like, oh, it makes so much sense, and I knew exactly what to do. So what I did was I used a tool called timeline therapy to go back into my past and release that repressed emotion. And the great thing about timeline therapy, in particular when it comes to the emotions, is that it allows us to tap into that higher wisdom and bring that higher wisdom to that emotion so that we can let go of it. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm so, so grateful. It's like all of a sudden everything is lifted. And so now, without all that, it's kind of like if I was carrying around all of this weight, like, let's imagine, like, I just was carrying around all this old baggage, and that every time something happens now that reminds me of that, it would like explode out. And so it was just constantly coming up disproportionately to what was happening now. And now that that's been released, it's so much clearer, and I have so much more peace around things that are happening, and it's not nearly as hard to deal with. And I'm really, really grateful for that. And even more so, the understanding that this has given me, that not only lets me have this awareness and work with myself this way in the future, but it also lets me help my clients better, because I'm really good at being heady. I'm really good at using my mind to find awareness and enlightenment and insight. And that's a really powerful tool. Sometimes I neglect my emotions. Even though I'm very emotionally connected to people, when it comes to my own pain, I can sometimes be disconnected. So now I understand this connection so much more powerfully, and I know that I have the tools to not only help myself, but to help my clients. So I'm really excited to share this with you. And I also thought it would be really good to share, part of timeline therapy is getting those insights from your unconscious. And so I'd like to share this with you because it's not only true for me, this is true for you too. And these are the learnings that I got from letting go of what I'm calling abandonment, annihilation, and despair. You are a divine being of light who is never alone. We saw you and kept you, even in your despair. You can never truly be harmed. You are whole and complete. You can release this now and know that you are loved. The truth is, you are always loved. Being you is a gift the world is asking to receive. You can do this alone, but you won't have to. Come home to who you are and be at peace. And just integrating that understanding, that awareness, with that hurt little girl part inside of me, allowed me to let that go. So if there is something in your life, an emotion that's plaguing you that just keeps coming back, please reach out to me. This is an incredibly powerful tool, and I'd love to help you with it. So if this speaks to you, let me know. And in any case, I hope that these words touch your heart as they have mine.